Welcome back to Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, where the adrenaline has already kicked in from the audience here. That is Zach Taylor in his 4th season as the head coach of the Bengals. Last year took Cincinnati all the way to the Super Bowl on the other side of the field. In his 1st season as the head man here in New Orleans, Dennis Allen, after 6.5 years as the defensive coordinator. The Saints have won the toss. They have deferred, which means that young man hiding behind the big guy, Joe Burrow, will get his hands on the football first. Chris Evans is deep. He is number 25, and we are just about set to go. Expect a few fireworks here and there, Arch?
Well, I would hope so. That's what I'm gunning for. You know, the Cincinnati offense, they are certainly more than capable of it, and the Saints last week had a few big plays of their own, so hopefully they continue that trend.
Will Lutz kicks it away, and we are underway. Chris Evans will not be able to return this, and we'll start at the 25-yard line, and here comes Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, just all kinds of headlines throughout his young career so far, and they're all well-deserved. Now in his 3rd season, 9 touchdown passes. He's been picked 5 times.
Sure, he feels good about coming back here in this stadium, and number one thing that they have to do to get back on track is they've got to make defenses pay for sitting those safeties deep and playing that soft zone.
He's going to throw on 1st down. Breaks the pocket and runs it out of bounds at about the 30-yard line and pick up at about 5. On the O-line, left tackle Jonah Williams dislocated a kneecap last week, returned to the game, and is there again today. He's a key in their running game, Arch.
Yeah, look, this is about the passing game, but the running game is not an afterthought, and they haven't been able to really get the running game going. Last week, Mixon ran for 78 yards, modest numbers, but they were more effective and efficient than they've been this season.
2nd and 5. This is Mixon, and Mixon makes it about 3rd and 1. On the defensive side of the ball, the New Orleans Saints. We've talked all weekend long about those 2 guys on the outside.
And their secondary, a big miss right now is Marshawn Lattimore. And especially when you got a receiver like Jamar Chase on the other side. So their safeties, Tyrann Mathieu, he's a playmaker. And they get Marcus May back. He's been out for a couple weeks. It's a pretty good safety tandem that's going to have to shoulder a bit more of the load to keep the top to the defense against the big ball.
Bengals fighting the expected noise. It's on 3rd and 1. Under pressure, Burrow going down. Demario Davis in on the quarterback.
It's just right down the pipe, and Joe Mixon, he's got to be able to make this block. They have Mixon at the line of scrimmage, and he just whiffs on Davis. And when you look at their pass protection, look, they came into this game 18 sacks, Greg. A lot of those sacks were in their first 2 games. They've gotten better in the last 3 games, but it's been individual breakdowns. When you have somebody accounted for it, you got to be able to make that block. Otherwise, Burrow doesn't have a chance.
Rashid Shaheed just elevated from the practice squad yesterday with the catch and brings it back across the 30 to about the 32, maybe the 33-yard line. And onto the field comes the former Cincinnati Bengal, Andy Dalton. Back in 2011, the Bengals made him the 35th overall pick. He spent 9 seasons in Cincinnati. Last week registered his first win as the Saints quarterback.
Didn't really have to do too much last week because they did run the ball so often, and you would love, if you're a backup, to come in. You'd love to have your top wide receivers, but he's going to have to work extra hard today in the passing game to get some yards.
Alvin Kamara behind him in the backfield as they start at the 32-yard line. Kamara for a couple before being brought down. It is a steady and pretty veteran offensive line. Dalton with a good run game, missing some weapons, as we've talked about early in the passing game.
But the good news is you still have number 41, who looked like he was back to his old self last week. 193 scrimmage yards, and he's done a lot of great things in his career. That's the second most yards from scrimmage of his career. And again, today has to be a big part.
On 2nd and 9, going deep down the side. He's got a man open, and Shaheed came inside. The ball was outside. 3rd and 9.
Oh, they had him too. This is, when you get this opportunity, Shaheed, he's able to get the inside position. He's on Eli Apple. Apple loses him into the inside, and then for whatever reason, obviously, you use the word time on task, not a lot of practice between the two. Being able to get on the same page. Dalton throws it to the outside, but when you're that open down the field, you have got to connect on that ball. Huge missed opportunity.
On 3rd and 9, Dalton under pressure, got hit as he threw, and it's incomplete. Joseph Osai, 2nd-year D lineman out of Texas, putting the pressure on Dalton, and they'll kick it away.
Well, just another nice job up front. A 4-man rush, and again, when you have 5 offensive linemen against 4, you've got to like your chances. But you saw an individual breakdown on the Bengals' first drive, leads to pressure, and then right there you should be able to pick it up. But again, Dalton doesn't have a chance with pressure that fast in his face.
Trent Taylor is deep for the Bengals inside his own 20-yard line. Booming kick sends him back inside his own 10. Taylor up the right side, lost the football, covered at about the 32-yard line by the Saints. Adam Troutman is the Saints player who covered the loose ball.
Covered by New Orleans, 1st down.
That ball was coming out before he was even hit.
Yeah, he didn't even.
So now look at the opportunity presented the New Orleans Saints. The ball at the Cincinnati 32.
Both head coaches that we spoke about the need to start fast and getting some of those early takeaways, and the Saints strike first.
This is Kamara to about the 25-yard line. Well, the Cincinnati Bengals on defense, it's a defense that you've repeated, Arch. It's getting better bit by bit.
Well, I think this defense, they've really come a long way in the last couple years, and their defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, has really done a good job. You watched the game last week against the Baltimore Ravens. I thought they played real well, especially against a quarterback who has been dominant, Lamar Jackson, the first 4 games. Got some good players on that side of the ball, and it's going to be tough on the Saints.
Taysom Hill is in at quarterback, looking to throw it. Throws to the side. That is complete to about the 20-yard line. Ducking inside the 20 to about the 18 is Marquez Callaway.
Well, you see the soft coverage, and Hill's going to take that. And this is the challenge. Last week, the Bengals played against Lamar Jackson. Obviously, we know what he can do as a dual-threat quarterback. It's very different with Taysom Hill because they put him in the game at the same time as Andy Dalton. So on defense, you have to have double calls. If Hill is in the game, that's one call. If he's at quarterback, you have to go to a different call, and that's what makes it so challenging.
Dalton is back in at quarterback now. He throws the slant into the end zone, and touchdown, Traquan Smith.
Well, what a good job by Smith. He wins this route at the line against Mike Hilton. He just beats him off the line. He's over to the left. He turns Mike Hilton around, and then Dalton just fires it perfectly. Perfect timing, just in the right spot, right before Hilton can recover. But really, that play was made by Smith at the line of scrimmage, winning the route and then getting inside position.
3 plays, 32 yards. Looks for the extra point. And it is perfect. The Saints turn the turnover into points on the board. There's the fumble. They recover. They score. It's 7-0 New Orleans. Well, the Saints and their fans aren't used to this. They've been averaging under 7 points in the first half of games this season. They've got 7 on the board already today.
Well, both head coaches, as I mentioned, spoke about starting fast. For Dennis Allen, you know, they've been able to dig themselves a big hole in the first half of games. A big reason why is because of giveaways. That time they take it away and strike first.
Evans from a yard deep in his own end zone, out across the 20 to about the 22-yard line, down to A.J. Ross.
Well, Greg, Bengals coach Zach Taylor has been to the Superdome enough times to know it gets loud in here. That's something that was advantageous for the Bengals coming into this one. They were able to practice inside for the first time at their practice facility just on Friday. So they were using loud music and their silent count, trying to prep as much as they could for what they would encounter here. But this atmosphere is one of a kind, guys.
We're going to have to get A.J. some Excedrin by the end of the day. First down, 22-yard line. Burrow, quick pass. That is complete. And out to about the 30 and across the 30 and close to first down yardage is Hayden Hurst, the tight end. Looks to be just a touch short.
Well, Greg, to me, this is what the game comes down to for today and really for the rest of the season is you saw the Saints right there. They played cover 2 deep safeties, everybody dropping back in zone. And that's what they've really had a hard time beating this year. So they've got to be patient, and when he dumps the ball off, they've got to break a couple tackles and get some yards after the catch.
Here's Mixon, and Mixon has the first down as he plows his way to the 34. So that's a first down for a Cincinnati team that comes in averaging 335.5 yards a game, and that's good for only the 22nd best. I think it's one of the things that we've talked about all weekend long. These teams, you just know they're better than what their record says they are.
You got Jamar Chase. They move him around a lot this year. He's inside at the number 3 spot.
Burrow with time. Short pass again. Nice grab by Hayden Hurst. His second straight reception moves the football out to the 42.
So you see that a lot more in this game, or this season. You've seen them move around Jamar Chase because what teams are starting to do is use their cornerback, play a zone underneath with the safety help over the top. That's usually cover 2 or cover 6, they call it. They move Jamar Chase inside to try and take advantage of those coverages. They're doing everything they can to try to free him up in one-on-one coverage because that's where he's best.
Noise level rises on 2nd and 2. Burrow throwing incomplete. Intended for Chase over the middle. It'll be 3rd and 2, covered by Marcus May.
Well, here's a good example. This time they put Jamar Chase. He's at the number 2 spot. And look at the attention that they get. He's got somebody outside, and then he's also got a safety, Marcus May. He's spying him inside. You know, the windows, they get tight. And so, you know, Joe Burrow is going to have to be extremely accurate. Don't try to force it in there. But again, it's been a tough defense. The deep zone defense has really been tough for the Bengals this season.
Here comes the crowd. Burrow breaks the pocket, throws sideline. Diving for the ball is Jamar Chase. Was he inbound? He was not. And that'll bring the punting unit on.
I think already, if the first 2 drives are any indication, the Saints have up front, they've done a really good job of getting pressure. You know, very few chances that we've seen Burrow just get back there, be able to set his feet, being able to scan and set his feet to throw the football. So it's kind of been a theme most of the season, but the early pressure really strong from that Saints front.
Kevin Huber kicks it away. This is Callaway. And Callaway making the fair catch just inside his own 20-yard line. 8 minutes, 20 seconds to play in the first quarter. It's a 7-0 New Orleans lead.
See, made for football watching. Progressive, the right call to protect your home and car. And by Burger King.
Coming up at halftime of the Bills against the Chiefs. Don't miss the world premiere of the trailer for the new original series Tulsa King, starring Sylvester Stallone, streaming November 17th exclusively on Paramount+. Andy Dalton flanked to the near side as a wide receiver. Taysom Hill taking the snap directly from center. Going to hand it off and give it to Kamara. And Kamara, right side. Out very close to a first down. Maybe he has a first down close to the 30-yard line.
So this is where it gets challenging for the Bengals because, again, Taysom Hill, he could play tight end. He could play running back. He could play quarterback. So if Andy Dalton is the center, they come with one call. Now, if Hill lines up at center, then they're going to call another call. And so communication has to be at a premium because of all the different ways they use Taysom Hill in this offense.
That's Hill in motion. And now stopping on the near side of the field. Dalton to throw. Under pressure. Got rid of it. And it falls incomplete. Time for our first update of the day. Let's get you back to New York and join James Brown, Coach Bill Cowher.
Kenny Pickett with the first of his many.
Yes, first career touchdown pass here is Najee Harris on the blitz, slips across the formation, uncovered, culminates his 11-play, 66-yard drive, and Pittsburgh goes up 7-0 over Tampa Bay.
Greg, Adam, and AJ.
All right, guys, thank you very much.
Ready?
On a 2nd and 10, Mark Ingram. And not much there in the middle of the line. Ingram in his 12th season out of Alabama. Josh Tupou, Jermaine Pratt making the tackle.
Well, Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill got, the bulk of the attention last week, and Ingram wasn't quite as effective, but I kind of look at Ingram as kind of having the same late career as a Frank Gore. Just, a guy that can still run physical and reliable, and I can see Mark Ingram playing almost forever.
Hill, part of a 3-wide receiver set on this side of the field. That pass is incomplete, falling at the feet of Kamara. Well, if he had held on to it, he had blocking in front of him.
He sure did, but that's a good rebound by the Cincinnati defense. And I was a little surprised, that drive that New Orleans came out, they've been really aggressive against the secondary, which, if you go back over the last 9 or 10 games, going back even to last year in the playoffs, this secondary was a tremendous strength, probably one of the biggest strengths of this defense and their ability to take the ball away. But they've been very aggressive in their first 2 shots against the secondary.
Trent Taylor, you know what happened the last time he touched the ball, turned it over, this time from his own 7-yard line. Taking the same route, holds on this time and is bumped out of bounds close to the 25-yard line. 6 minutes, 40 seconds to play in the first quarter. It is New Orleans 7, Cincinnati nothing. Welcome back, everyone. A reminder, Inside the NFL, the show the pros watch Tuesdays, streaming exclusively on Paramount+. Well, Cincinnati back on offense. Their first 2 drives, 8 plays, 19 yards total, and they've punted both times they've had the ball.
And Joe Burrow's been under quite a bit of pressure.
Quick pass is complete. That's Tyler Boyd. Well, Joe Burrow, we talked with him about just coming back here to town. And hey, there are so many people here from LSU, a couple of Clemson people out on the field as well who took part in that game back in 2019.
Yeah, it's got to be a great memory to be able to play a game like that in this building. I'm sure all that is forgotten once this game starts, but certainly fun to think about.
On 2nd and 4, flip it to Mixon out of the backfield. Mixon has a first down as he's across the 35 to about the 37-yard line where Pete Werner makes the stop. Boy, what a season he had. Take a look at the numbers. They're all incredible numbers that ended up with a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty decent. Not bad. And he certainly didn't take long to acclimate himself to the National Football League. He's had a tremendous start to his career. And I have no question that they're going to figure it out. It's just this season it's taken a lot longer I think everybody has expected.
Quick pass on the slant, complete to Boyd once again. Update time once again. Let's get you back to New York City and rejoin JB and Coach.
And Greg, it involves Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, tough the last couple of weeks, but there's a 1-yard touchdown run right there. And Jacksonville goes to Indy, takes a 7-0 lead in the first quarter.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
All right, JB and Coach, thank you very much. Jacksonville 1-18 on the road since 2020. Under 5 minutes to play here in the first. Quick pass to the near side. That is Jamar Chase, and Chase knocked out of bounds on the near side. Let's go down to AJ.
Well, Greg, as you and Arch were talking about Joe Burrow's return to New Orleans, something that struck me that he said to us was this was his first time being away from home, and he really found himself here in New Orleans, and the fans and the culture especially hold a special place in his heart. And when I followed up and asked him what his favorite restaurant was, he said he couldn't tell me, but he definitely gained a couple pounds eating all the good food here, guys.
How can you pick a favorite restaurant in New Orleans, Louisiana?
Yeah, Greg, I think thanks to you, I think I've gained a few pounds this week.
You're welcome.
Thanks, bud.
This is Mixon. And Mixon has a first down inside the 40 to the New Orleans 38-yard line. Tackle made by Cameron Jordan.
Well, those little runs, especially, you know, on a third down, are so important. Again, it doesn't look like much. And they have tried to run the football. They've been around 30 attempts a game. Last week it was about 20. But it was the most efficient that they've been. You've got to be able to soften up a defense. They're going to have to play short to deep to get their deep passing game on track.
Finally corralling the ball is Mixon, and no place to go once he does get it settled. He is maybe lost a yard when all is said and done. Back to the 39-yard line. Pete Werner with another tackle.
They do have players that can run with the ball, you know, after the catch. So again, when you're playing a team that's dropping their linebackers, they're getting their safeties deep, you know, that's where a guy like Chase, maybe it's not the big ball down the field, but we've seen what Chase can do with the ball in his hands. You know that Mixon in the open field, he can be tough to deal with. They're just going to have to readjust their offense a little bit and find different ways. And then once you see single high, that's when Joe Burrow lets it fly.
Burrow looking around, now on the move, still looking, directing traffic, and has to throw it away just as he's hit hard by Demario Davis, and a penalty flag flies.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 56. A 15-yard penalty with an automatic first down.
When you get into roughing the passer penalty, my first thought was, oh, here we go, but I don't think there's much doubt about that one.
I don't know, Greg. I think that he didn't hit him in the helmet, and initially it looked like he hit Burrow before the second step was down. You're afforded, when the quarterback is outside the pocket, you're allowed to hit him within one step, and he didn't hit him helmet to helmet. So, you know, I know it was a hard hit, but in my eyes, everything about that should have been clean.
First time the Saints have been called on a roughing the passer call this season. The give is to Pirine. Samaje Pirine. Let's welcome in Gene Steratore. Gene, what was your thought?
Tell me I'm crazy, Gene.
I know you're not, Adam, and I've got to go with you on it. Look, I know this is a severe contact hit, and Joe Burrow's holding onto the ball till the last second to dump it so that he doesn't lose yardage. That extra second that he holds on to this football has allowed this defensive player, as you said, Adam, within one step to legally take a very big hit on him, and that's the price you pay for holding a football for the extra second, in my opinion.
Thanks, Gene. Pirine out of the backfield with the catch, fights his way. Oh, Chris Harris with tech.
Gene, just one more question, just to clear it up. They're really looking at two steps. Once you get the second step down, then that's kind of the marker for whether or not it's a roughing the passer. Am I correct on that?
Most definitely. As it relates to steps, Adam, yes, you are. And then the quarterback is defenseless by definition. So contact force to his head or neck area not permitted. Here, this is within a step, maybe step and a half, and the contact is initiated in his chest.
Gene, thank you very much. This is a 3rd and 3. Burrow on the slant. That's complete to Jamar Chase for a first down.
A really nice release, and this is actually, pretty good coverage. Pretty good coverage by Adebo, and that's just excellent timing, excellent route running, and catching it in a very tight window. When a quarterback and a receiver is executing like that, and you're playing outside leverage as a corner, that is a really tough route to stop.
Burrow is 7 for 7 throwing on this drive. 1st and goal from the 9. Burrow, end zone, incomplete. Nobody there, 2nd and goal.
Greg, the Saints defensively this year, they're right around 17th, 18th, or 16th in total defense, but they have been excellent in their situational defense. What does that mean? They've been great on 3rd down and in the red zone. They've only allowed a touchdown 33%, and last week really it was because the Bengals struggled in the red zone against the Ravens that probably cost them that game.
Burrow, end zone again, incomplete. Intended for Mixon. Well covered.
Again, pretty good coverage there by Adebo, who's looking for a bounce-back game. Didn't play his best game last week, but in pretty good position. Because he's in such good position, Burrow has to put that ball so high that Mixon can't get to it.
12th play of this drive. Burrow pulls it down, the quick pass underneath to Mixon into the end zone for the touchdown. Mixon, his 2nd touchdown of the season, his 1st on the receiving end. And the Bengals will now look for the extra point to tie it up.
All because of the attention that Jamar Chase gets. He's going to go up the field, and then that's going to open up this little window for Mixon to come underneath. So really a nice job by Joe Burrow to see the defense, and then, hey, that's the open guy, that's the space, and you know that Mixon with space, he's going to be able to find the end zone. Well done.
Evan McPherson for the extra point. And for the moment, at least, it has quieted a majority of the crowd here at the Superdome. Joe Mixon into the end zone. The Bengals are on the board. It is 7-7 in New Orleans. Bengals defensive end Sam Hubbard launched a new community program, Hubbard's Cupboards. Hubbard's Cupboards will serve as an on-site supplement to fill needs that arise. Each cupboard will be filled during the school year with core school supplies and hygiene products, as well as healthy snacks. Way to go, Sam. Rashid Shaheed deep in the end zone. And Shaheed will not get a chance to return this. We'll start at the 25-yard line. What are you seeing so far, Archie?
Well, after a couple of aggressive drives, it's really been the Bengals, their 4-man rush. They've been able to put a little bit of heat on Andy Dalton. First time they tried to put an end on Trey Hendrickson. That's not a good idea. And then just up front, the left guard gets beat. And that's what you get. So a really good start by the Saints to get the football and cash it in for a touchdown. But just like the Bengals had to do, they've got to solve a few pressure problems.
Little play fake, the pass outside. That is complete. The catch is made by Adam Troutman, the tight end. And that'll get the ball across the 30, up to about the 32, maybe the 33-yard line.
The Saints have to do it a lot with their multiple tight end package. You know, last week, you count Taysom Hill as a tight end. They had 4 active tight ends in that game. Of course, Taysom is, kind of that wild card guy. But again,
Taysom Hill taking the snap here on 2nd and 2. He's going to carry it around the near side. Got blocking in front of him across the 35 and out across the 40-yard line. He'll be marked down at the 40, but that's a New Orleans first down. That brings us to the end of the first quarter here at the Superdome in New Orleans. We have a 7-7 tie. Ready for the start of the second quarter here at the Superdome in New Orleans. Bengals 7 and the New Orleans Saints 7. As you take a look at some first quarter numbers, this New Orleans offense missing so many key guys on the receiving end, that makes you have to be more creative on the offensive calls.
Yeah, and look, they really went and revamped the wide receiver room this year. And again, on paper, if they have everybody healthy like Mike Thomas and Jarvis Landry, and how about the season that the rookie Olave, how good has he been this year?
Yeah.
You know, they get everybody healthy with an offensive line that's starting to feel itself running the football. This could be a pretty good offense.
They'll start the second quarter with 3 tight ends, and the give is to Mark Ingram. And Ingram with running room up the middle, across midfield, and down at about the 46-yard line of the Cincinnati Bengals. That's 14 yards and a first down.
Well, the double team block by Troutman in the right tackle. Excellent job. Look at Troutman. He just gets up on Pratt. He drives him about 7 yards deep into that secondary. And then Ingram, he just gets downhill. He doesn't really get touched or tackled until he runs into Jesse Bates 8, 9, 10 yards down the field. That is an excellent run up front.
Once again, Taysom Hill with the direct snap from center. Going to tuck it and run and not get very far. Inside the 45 to the 44. He really is a triple threat in every sense of the word.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
And he has kind of done it all. This season, they transfer him full-time to tight end. So he spent most of the offseason in training camp in the tight end room. But then he's had to kind of learn that to get integrated in the system. And then now, since Jameis Winston has been hurt, now he spends most of his time in the quarterback room as a quarterback.
This is Rashid Shaheed, and Shaheed breaking inside the 10 to the 5, touchdown. Rashid Shaheed elevated from the practice squad just yesterday. His parents and a sister, collegiate track heroes, and he showed a little speed here.
Well, up here, first, if you're Eli Apple, you've got to stay outside. You're the corner on that side, and Marquez Callaway doesn't even have to work to block you. And then you get a bad angle by Awuzie coming over the top, and you see the elite speed just does the rest. But you've got to be able to keep contained on that edge.
Extra point is good. Shaheed went 44 yards, and the Saints on this burst by the rookie out of Weber State take a 14-7 lead. Bears repeating, number 89. His mom, collegiate track star, his dad, the sister, he may have gotten the gene.
There's a good chance. He returned 7 kicks for touchdowns in college. And that's what you got to have. When you're down your horses on offense, look, you got to get creative. But again, when you can hit big plays like that and you're down, that's what you need to have a chance to win these games.
So onto the field comes the Cincinnati offense. That means Joe Burrow.
Well, made a little bit of an adjustment, went to the run-pass option game, faked the run, get the ball out of your hands, try to let your receivers, that time Tyler Boyd, this time Jamar Chase, let these guys get the chance to run with the ball in their hands, because teams are taking away the deep shot. And if you keep peppering teams like this, the hope is that the safeties, the secondary, they might relax a little bit. And then once they go single high, that's when you see Burrow, Chase, and Higgins strike.
From the 25. Burrow dropped by T. Higgins. First ball thrown to him today. Been battling an ankle injury. It was a last-second decision whether or not he was going to dress today or not.
And that's uncharacteristic. T. Higgins has had just an unbelievable year this year. And he was coming off 2 really strong games. That Miami game, really, he showed out against Xavier Howard. Only played about 10 snaps last week against the Ravens. But he is a huge part of this offense. Just a wonderful compliment to Chase.
2nd and 10. And that's broken up. Broken up by Adebo, intended for Higgins.
This is beautiful coverage. And Adebo really had just a tremendous rookie year last year. And he was having a great camp this year. Had an injury. A little bit of a setback. Didn't play real good last week, but you know, when he's playing like this and Marshawn Lattimore is healthy on the other side, it really gives them a tough cornerback duo to try to beat man-to-man coverage.
P. Ryan in the backfield alongside Burrow on 3rd and 10. That's P. Ryan. trying to make a move, trying to get first down yardage, and comes up a couple of yards short. Tyrann Mathieu and Justin Evans putting the hit on him on the sideline. Let's see what happens here. And onto the field comes the punting unit.
Really nice job by the Saints defense, and that's the formula. You want to get Cincinnati, and you want to get them in long distance situations so you could put your safeties back, force them to dump it off, and the Saints have been an excellent tackling football team. That's one of the reasons why they've been so good on third downs.
Kevin Huber, 1,001 punts for this one franchise. Booms this one out. Here's Shaheed. And the fair catch is made at the 25-yard line with 12:39 to play in the first half. New Orleans with the ball and a one-touchdown lead.
The king of sportsbooks. Please gamble responsibly.
As we so profoundly impressed upon Adam Archuleta, you cannot come to New Orleans and not have charbroiled oysters.
Yeah, those, I got to admit, that's pretty good. And one thing I've realized, Greg, is that you have zero respect for my figure and my desire to maintain a healthy body weight. Thanks a lot, big guy.
You're entirely welcome. Kamara breaks it outside, finds running room, has first down yardage, and down the sideline. Let's go down to AJ.
Well, Greg, Bengals corner Eli Apple got burned on that Rashid Shaheed touchdown, and revenge is a dish best served, maybe spicy for Saints fans. A lot of the people here felt that Apple went a little too far with a hot take about New Orleans and its food. He put that on Twitter earlier this year, and they weren't too happy about that. They did throw some shade his way during Mardi Gras, but don't expect too much Southern hospitality toward his way today, guys.
A couple of his teammates just basically said he needs to stay off Twitter. Taysom Hill ready for the direct snap. Going to keep it. Left side, running room. Here goes Hill. Down the sideline and out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. Knocked out by Von Bell.
Well, this is the tough part about trying to defend this play, because you have to respect the run here. Watch the linebackers, because he can easily hand this off to Kamara. Everybody has to go to the left, and then you have a defensive lineman trying to disengage off of that block, but that hole is too big to try to bring down Taysom Hill. So it's a lot like how they use Lamar Jackson, but again, they're two different players, and that time they got him.
30 yards on the play, and now we get a whistle, and Adam Troutman is down on the turf.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Timeout. New Orleans. The first of the half.
So they are forced to use a timeout, and number 82, Adam Troutman, who's been pretty active in this game to this point, being looked at down on the turf.
You see, he's just going to go across in motion, and all of a sudden something happens.
We'll check on him after a break. Troutman helped off the field and immediately went into the blue tent. We will update you on him when we get the information, but it was odd, wasn't it, Arch?
Yeah, I don't really know if I've ever really seen anything like that happen, just on a pre-snap, barely moving it, not even a jog.
On first down, this is Kamara. Kamara inside the 20 to about the 16.5, maybe the 16-yard line. By the way, the Saints were not charged a timeout due to the injury, so both these teams have all three of their timeouts remaining with 11:05 to play here in the first half.
And now it'll be interesting to see how the Saints adjust, because last week they ran 21 plays of multiple tight ends, 2 and 3 tight end sets. And you knew that was going to be a big package because of the injuries to the wide receivers, and Troutman was a big part and a big focal point of that package.
Dalton with time lofts it towards the end zone and off the fingertips of Kamara. Jermaine Pratt covering. It'll be 3rd and 7.
Well, I like the idea, and you certainly like that matchup. There's very few linebackers against number 41 that are going to be able to win, and I think Pratt actually does a pretty good job in coverage. There's not a big window to try to drop that ball into. I know, Dalton is looking at the Jumbotron and thinks that, he would have loved to have that one, but pretty decent position out there by Pratt.
Kamara and Ingram in the backfield. Dalton on the move with time. Now throws other side of the field and threw it away. So that'll bring the field goal unit on. Like pretty good coverage in the secondary by
There is no
the
foul
Bengals.
for intentional grounding. The quarterback is outside the pocket. The pass crossed the line of scrimmage, fourth down.
It's a good job in coverage, and outside of maybe that second or third drive where the Bengals were able to get a little bit of pressure, I think the Saints offensive line has really done a nice job. The Bengals have two really good defensive ends, that one of the better two tandems out there, and they've been pretty much silent for most of this first half.
Will Lutz from 35 yards is good. And with 10:28 to play, the Saints increase their lead to 17-7. We're back in 30 seconds after this.
Nice work. Never heard you scream like that before.
What?
Dad, it's not a big deal. I'm scared of spiders too.
I know it's not a big deal. Because I didn't scream.
Oh, I see. You didn't scream.
No. So, that's why it's not a big deal.
Should we play it back?
Do it.
This What Really Happened replay is brought to you by Progressive. One thing no one would challenge, protecting your home and auto with Progressive.
I'm sorry you had to relive that.
Welcome back to the Superdome, everybody. 10-point lead for the New Orleans Saints against the visiting Bengals. And Lutz will kick it away. You know, we talked at the very beginning of the program, Arch, about how this Cincinnati team is a big play team with the big bombs being thrown. That hasn't happened, at least not yet.
No, and that really hasn't happened much this entire season.
Chris Evans. Not going to bring this one out. The touchback means the ball comes out to the 25-yard line, and this is what the Bengals have done on their first 4 possessions. 3 punts and a 75-yard drive for a touchdown.
That 75-yard drive was really a nice drive, and it featured a lot of short, quick, precise passes, and just designed to get the ball into Boyd and Chase and Mixon into their hands. But I think one of the keys for the Saints has been, if they play well on first down, they have had a pretty good go at this offense.
Quick pass to the outside. That is complete, and being thrown out of bounds is T. Higgins. And it'll be second down of the ball is down at about the 31.
I'm a bit surprised after talking to Zach Taylor that to actually see T. Higgins on the field because of, you know, the limited reps. And, you know, probably his ability to cut and get in and out of his breaks would be the #1 thing that's effective. Of course, he's at his best down the field, you know, using that big body and those arms and that frame to make those contested catches.
On 2nd and 4, they'll give it to Mixon, and Mixon will get the first down out to the 38.
That's a good, strong run by Joe Mixon. The Saints blitz one of their linebackers. And this isn't a big blitzing football team. Dennis Allen prefers to just rush with 4. But he doesn't hesitate to rush to Mario Davis and Pete Werner. That time they take advantage of Werner, and Mixon is able to hit the hole to pick up the first down.
On the crossing pattern, he will hit coming across the middle, Hayden Hurst. And with that, we'll take you once again back to New York for an update. JB, Coach
Finally, the Giants on the board.
Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson runs what we would call, right, Adam, a pick play. Executed properly, 7-7 Giants in Baltimore.
Adam was never involved in covering the pick play, was he?
He probably got picked.
Yeah, back to Greg.
That's the only way Coach could beat me. He had to cheat and block more than 1 yard down the field.
2nd and 6 for the Bengals. Burrow on the quick slant, and he's got Tyler Boyd, and Boyd brought down inside the New Orleans 40 at about the 37-yard line by Chris Harris.
Oh boy, this is really Tyler Boyd, you're going to see him come into this picture. This is a beautiful release, how he just sets up Chris Harris Jr. to the outside and is able to come in. That was beautiful pass by Burrow. Good patience with the protection, but really nice release for Boyd to get that inside position and run after the catch.
New set of downs and Burrow to throw again. Little flip, and this is Mixon out of the backfield. Steps over an attendant tackler, and he's run out of bounds. Nice little dance step on the sideline.
Yeah,
Olsen Adebo.
Well, Greg, look at this is one of the things they have to do. You know, your job, you know, cover two, playing deep zone, that's nothing new. Everybody's done that since the test of time. You've got to make them pay for it. And one of the ways you do that are those underneath routes, and then it's your job, if you're a receiver or a running back, to make something happen. You break one tackle, and pick up big yards. Now the Saints have to adjust.
This is 2nd and 2. He'll take a shot down this side of the field and incomplete. Jamar Chase was the intended receiver.
Oh, he almost had it. Did Roby get a hand in there? This is what they're looking for, what they've been looking for. Single high coverage, one safety in the middle. And no, I think Chase, he dropped it. I think that's an opportunity right there where, you know, 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, Jamar Chase comes down with that ball. They've been looking for that all season, and a missed opportunity, uncharacteristic there for Chase.
3rd and 2 now for Burrow and the Bengals. Burrow on the quick slant. He's got his man at the 20, and that's Tyler Boyd once again. And a first down for Cincinnati.
Well, Tyler Boyd's having himself a really nice game. You know, he's off to one of his slowest starts of his career. You know, had a big game against the Jets, and one of the reasons why, you know, he's kind of been lost a little bit is because they moved Jamar Chase around in the slot. And that's kind of where Tyler Boyd, where he does his best work. They knew they wanted him to get involved in this game, and so far he's been able to step up and make some big catches.
First down from the 21. Burrow short again, and just inside the 20. The catch is made by T. Higgins, and that's where the ball will be placed, just inside the 20-yard line. By the way, that 3rd down pass for a first down, the 27th thrown by Burrow for a first on 3rd down. That's the most in the National Football League. Clock continues to move. 6:15 to play in the first half.
And doing it against the defense that has been excellent in 3rd down. And I got to imagine that not having Lattimore in the lineup, a guy that allows you to play man-to-man against the team's best wide receiver, so you can commit your resources to other parts of the offense. The Saints don't really have that, and so far Burrow's taken advantage.
Burrow, this side of the field incomplete. T. Higgins was close. He was covered by Bradley Roby. So it'll be 3rd and 8. Elvis is in the house, Arch.
He is. He's doing a great job, Greg. I thought you're kind of like an Elvis.
I'm kind of not.
Kind of like the Elvis of broadcasting, big guy.
I'm kind of not.
The Saints in this game on 3rd and long, they've sat back in zone, and they've done a pretty good job tackling. This time they're going to line up their linebackers up front. Are they going to blitz, or are they going to drop out in coverage?
Chris Evans in the backfield now, and a timeout is called by Cincinnati. They used their first of 3.
The first of the half.
Gives us an opportunity to remind you, coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher will have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. So I guess the only thing that surprises me about this game so far, Arch, is something we talked about a little while ago. We talked about how all the big bombs and how the Bengals love to throw the ball deep. They apparently have not given that to Joe Burrow today, and he's taking everything short.
He is, and he's had a little bit of success on their good drives. You know, the 112-play drive that they were able to get the touchdown earlier, and even on this drive on 3rd down, they've been able to do 2 things. A, they've been able to win against man. You've seen Tyler Boyd, and they've also been able to find those spots in the zone. Again, the Saints, they're showing blitz. They have their linebackers at the line of scrimmage. It appears they're going to play coverage.
Burrow Trying to elude the pressure, and now he's going to take off and run it. He'll have a first down. He'll have a touchdown. 19 yards. Joe Burrow takes it for his second rushing touchdown of the season.
Oh, a magician. They are going to blitz here, and then they're going to run across the field, and then look at what happens. This looks like, remember the Jet game? How many times did you see this from Burrow? Where they've got him in the backfield. He's at sack, and then he escapes, makes something happen. That is unbelievable job by Burrow to get out of that and get the touchdown.
The extra point attempt is up, and it is perfect. 5 minutes, 44 seconds to play. Cincinnati closes the gap once again. 17-14, New Orleans. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The 7th rushing attempt all day by the Cincinnati offense, and Burrow took it 19 yards for the touchdown to cap a 75-yard, 10-play drive.
A nice little magic trick right there for Burrow to escape, and 19-yard touchdown. That is just a terrific play.
Shaheed will not return this one, and that will go through the end zone for the touchback. A reminder, Saturday, the SEC on CBS features Lane Kiffin leading his 7th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels into Death Valley for a showdown with LSU. The day begins at 2:30 Eastern Time with our team on the drive to Atlanta and college football today. Saturday, the SEC is on CBS.
Big win yesterday against Florida for the LSU fans.
And their alumni.
Ready?
This is Kamara. Kamara close to the 30-yard line. Alvin Kamara been losing fumbles lately, but he still has the right idea once he gets his hands on the football.
Yeah, the Carolina game, probably you can say was still affected a bit by the ribs. The one last week in the 2-minute, led to points. That was a big one. And really, it's been the giveaways that have really hurt the offense and this team. But when he's healthy, again, he's as good as anybody and as dangerous as anybody in the NFL.
He's going to get the handoff again, and he's pulled down as he crosses the 30-yard line by big number 92, B.J. Hill.
Well, that's really a good tackle inside. Look at B.J. Hill. He's coming right down the line of scrimmage, and if it wasn't for that, it looks like Kamara would have had a little bit more running room. Well, the Bengals really, I think they've done a pretty good job defending the run, especially since they lost DJ Reader, who, when he's healthy and in the game, is as good as any interior defensive lineman in football. But they've been able to absorb his loss and do a good job against the run.
Here's a big down if the Saints want to continue possession of the football as we close in on halftime. That pass is complete. And Jawan Johnson, the tight end, out of Oregon with the catch for a first down.
This is really just a nice quick decision by Andy Dalton. He sees zone, and then Johnson, he's just going to hook up right before Eli Apple can get to him. It's a tough route to stop when you're in zone coverage, and it's up to the quarterback to be able to see that, get the ball out, and give yourself another set of downs.
Kamara again, and wrapped up in the backfield by Sam Hubbard, number 94.
Well, I talked about in their last drive their defensive end, both Trey Hendrickson, the former Sate, and Sam Hubbard. Hubbard usually plays on the left side, Hendrickson on the right side of that defense, and really, Sam Hubbard has really come a long way, and he's one of the better pressure guys in the league. They have a terrific tandem between he and Hendrickson when rushing the passer.
Dalton just had to pound that one into the dirt, saw nothing developing. So this New Orleans offense averaging 11 yards per rush.
Well, I think that's what a 44-yard run will give you, right? And they've been able to figure it out. I mean, think about what they've been looking at here in the last 2 weeks with the injuries and the quarterback and the wide receivers. They've been able to manufacture some big plays. So credit Pete Carmichael, the offensive coordinator, for really having to put this thing together, get some big plays, and the guys have been able to respond and make those plays, you know, to get 17 points here in this first half.
This is a 3rd and 10. That pass over the middle, and that's complete across midfield to Marquez Callaway, still fighting for yardage. Brought down at about the 42-yard line of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, you got soft coverage outside, and then see all these players, the linebackers and safeties, they're at the line of scrimmage, so they're faking blitz. And then you have soft coverage on the back end by Apple, so there's a lot of space between the underneath coverage and Eli Apple, and so Andy Dalton sees it. He sees that kind of cushion. Well, he's going to take it every time.
2:40 and the clock is moving.
Ready!
And now we get a timeout called. 2:33 remaining in the first half, and the Saints used the first of their 3 timeouts. I want to remind you once again, coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher, all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report.
I think if you're Dennis Allen right now, you've got to be pretty pleased with the way you've played here, especially on offense in this game. You know, you've already been able to get a takeaway. You've taken care of the football. That's been number one and the biggest issue that they've had this year, especially in their losses. And again, because of the circumstances, for you to be here at 17 points and to have a chance to get more right before halftime with 2 minutes and 33 seconds left, 214 yards. It's been a pretty good day here on offense for the Saints.
Andy Dalton just 4 of 11 throwing for 53 yards and a touchdown. This is Ingram. Ingram with running room. Ingram to about the 30. And that's a first down. 12-yard pickup. And the clock is moving. 2:20 to play in the half.
Well, this is all made by the backside puller, Cesar Ruiz, and he comes over the top, and there's nobody in that second level to fill and get inside. Really nice off-tackle run. If you go back, you know, last week the Ravens did a pretty good job on that same run concept against the Bengals.
2-minute warning here in New Orleans. Andy Dalton, or any quarterback for that matter, when you can run the football like that.
That is impressive. You got 4 ball carriers that have been able to hit runs for over 10 yards. 3 of them that have long of over 20 yards, and you have 2 of them in Shaheed and Hill that have gone over 30 yards. So the big plays on the ground, really, again, against the team that I think has been playing the run pretty well in the Cincinnati Bengals.
Andy Dalton flanks out. Taysom Hill with the direct snap. Gonna hand it off. And that play goes nowhere as the Bengals keyed in on Kamara. Trey Hendrickson leading the charge.
Yeah, really a nice blitz by Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator. He's going to bring Hilton off the slot, and then that's what frees up Hendrickson to just be able to take his shot and make the tackle in the backfield.
And now Cincinnati has used its second timeout to stop the clock with 1:52 to play. And they're going to reset it to 1:56 now.
Thank you.
You sometimes wonder what effect multiple injuries are going to have on a team. And so far, both these teams have survived their injuries pretty well.
Well, usually it's not a good effect, Greg.
Right. No. I mean, but it's a matter of surviving it and seeing how well you can get along without them.
Yeah,
I think.
Again, I think you really have to credit the Saints for, you know, how they've looked here in the last 2 weeks, trying to manufacture offense. It's got to be tough when you don't have your top 3 receivers who are all really excellent players.
This is a 2nd and 12. That pass incomplete. Intended for Callaway, but pretty well covered by the Bengals. Number 22 is Chidobe Awuzie.
Yeah, he really probably isn't the guy that you want to attack if you're throwing the ball against the Bengals, because especially when it comes to man coverage, he doesn't give up a lot. They've had pretty good success going to the other side and getting after Eli Apple. But Awuzie is one of those guys that Doesn't give a lot of space on opposing wide receivers. He has been excellent.
On 3rd and 12 now, Dalton to the near side of the field, hits his man inside the 20, and fighting his way to the 15 is Traquan Smith. He's going to be marked down. Let's see where the line of scrimmage is.
Oh, this is a great job. Look at how Smith, watch Eli Apple's helmet. As soon as he looks back at the quarterback right there, he snaps it off at the sticks. Just a really good job of timing and getting on the same page. Dalton with Hendrickson going right down on him. But really the timing on the outside of snapping it off, and then the ball is right where it needs to be on a huge 3rd and long.
By the way, Trey Hendrickson slowly walked off the field to the Bengals bench, took a knee, and is now working his way to the bench.
Please reset the game clock to 1:46. 1:46.
There's Hendrickson.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of those guys, they really went out last year and invested in trying to make this defense better. They brought in Hendrickson here from the Saints, Awuzie, Mike Hilton. You know, they hit on some pretty good players.
Cincinnati is not charged for timeout.
And have really kind of transformed this defense.
So here are the Saints at the Cincinnati 16-yard line. Dalton to Kamara. And Kamara doesn't make it back to the line of scrimmage. And timeout is called again, this time by the Bengals.
Timeout. Cincinnati. Their 3rd and final of the half. Will be 30 seconds in length.
So they are out of timeouts now with 1:41 to play here in the first half. They are out. New Orleans has 2.
Zach Taylor, he really would love to get that ball before halftime. They received the kickoff to start the first half, and now that you push them back in 2nd long, you know, what you're hoping for here is that the Saints, you know, if you're Zach Taylor, you're hoping the Saints drop back to pass and you force an incomplete pass to try and get the clock stopped.
Once again, Taysom Hill on the field. Let's see where he lines up. He's going to take the snap.
So if you're Dennis Allen, you know, you run the football to make sure there's time.
He's going to tuck it and run and get hit hard. Coming up is Eli Apple off the corner.
Oh, that is a great hit. I mean, Apple had a bit of a tough game out there in coverage, and I don't even think Taysom Hill sees him coming in. I mean, he has no awareness. He's looking from the inside, and then Apple just tattoos him with a textbook. I got to take a clip of that and show that to my son's youth football team on how to come up and make a hit against a physical runner.
Ready?
New Orleans 3 out of 3 on 3rd down on this drive. This is a 3rd and 13. And we get a timeout called by the Saints.
Timeout.
So that will leave them with 1 timeout remaining and 53 seconds on the clock.
So Dennis Allen here, you know, look, it's 3rd and 13. What are your odds that you're going to pick up a first down? Probably not very good. And so what you don't want to have happen is you throw an incomplete pass, and then you give Burrow and the offense a chance with maybe about 40 seconds left to try and, you know, manufacture a drive down the field. So, you know, they're trying to draw the clock down. I would imagine they're going to run the football here, be satisfied with getting 3 points, and leave as little time as possible for Burrow, you know, if they're able to make this field goal.
By the way, for Cincinnati fans, Trey Hendrickson, who had slowly walked off the field, is back. 3rd and 13 now. Dalton out of the backfield. Kamara working his way to the sideline and doesn't get there. Logan Wilson coming up to help make the stop.
I like the play call. I mean, that's really a nice play call because it's a high percentage pass. You have Kamara, you know, underneath. You're not throwing it downfield. Get it in his hands, and then if there's anybody that can make something happen, maybe run for the first down, it's him. So Really good play call, but good tackling, even better tackling on the back end for Cincinnati.
Dennis Allen going to take some time off the clock here, standing there next to the official with one eye on the clock. He has one timeout left, and he's going to take it right now.
Timeout. New Orleans, their third and final of the half. A 30-second timeout.
So the field goal unit comes on. And that means Blake Gillikin. This will be about a 30-yard field goal attempt. He was good earlier from 35. Excuse me, not Blake Gillikin, Will Lutz. So the Saints looking to add 3 more before they go to the locker room. And that kick is perfect. Just 1 second left on the clock. We will take a brief break. Back in 30 seconds after this from State Farm.
Hey, Jake from State Farm. I want that personal price plan. So how's this for personal? I draw mustaches on players' faces when they're asleep.
Coach Reed, you don't need to get that personal to get the State Farm personal price plan. It helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Oh.
Coach, it happened again.
I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Call or click to get a quote today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
20-14, New Orleans. At halftime, the Saints with a 20-14 lead on the Cincinnati Bengals. Greg Gumbel, Adam Archuleta. I don't know much, but I do know this. If you average 136 yards per game on the ground coming in, you're really happy the way things went in the first half if you're the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I would say, and they used a similar formula to what they did last week, relying on that running game. And it's been impressive. They've gotten big plays. Started off by Shaheed, 44 yards. Kamara, he's able to get outside the edge for a big play, and then Taysom Hill breaks a tackle, gets upfield. They've been able to hit 4 plays of over 10 yards running the football. What's impressive is the fact that Cincinnati, their defense coming into this game, ranked 7th against the rush, and even going back to last year, have really defended the run well. So you've got to tip your hat to the Saints for finding a way, Greg, to manufacture 20 points in this first half.
Dennis Allen got to be really pleased, and he gets the ball to start the second half. That will sail through the end zone, and we'll start from the 25-yard line, and we go down to A.J.
Well, Greg and Arch, as you noted, the big story coming into this game was the Saints playing without their top wideouts, but they managed 244 yards in that first half. And Dennis Allen noted they ran the ball really well. He said they have to tighten up on red zone defense. Meanwhile, Bengals coach Zac Taylor said it wasn't the fast start that he wanted, but he liked how Tyler Boyd got some good touches in that first half on defense. Guess what? He said they have to stop the run.
AJ, thank you. They'll start this series, the Saints will, with Taysom Hill spread to the right side. Dalton dropped the ball, picked it up, rolling, and has to throw it away. So it'll be 2nd and 10.
When you look at Andy Dalton and his stats, he's 7 of 15 for only 73 yards. So certainly not, eye-popping numbers. It's been about the run game so far for the Saints, but he was able to make some key throws and was able to take advantage of some of those one-on-one coverage opportunities. So not flashy numbers, but he has been effective when he needed to make a throw.
This is Kamara. And Kamara stacked up at about the 27-yard line.
Greg, that Cincinnati rush defense, they gave up 155 yards last week to an offense like Baltimore that is very unique. They did a really great job against Lamar Jackson. Before that last drive, he had 30 yards on the ground. They've been really good against the run, especially when you consider the division that they're in with the Browns and the Ravens and the Steelers. The fact that the Saints have been able to push them around here in this first half is really impressive from the Saints standpoint.
Dalton to throw. Out of the backfield, catch is made by Mark Ingram, and Ingram is brought down, but not before he has first down yardage out across the 35 to about the 38-yard line. Trey Flowers making the tackle.
Well, this is taking a page. This is soft zone, just like what teams are doing to the Bengals. And what do? Dalton looks one way, comes back to the other side, and Ingram, he's able to just pick up 6-7 yards before anybody even attempts the tackle. So really well done. Take the check down, and Ingram does the rest.
Got 11 all told. First down now at the 38-yard line. Ingram again. Across the 40, out to about the 43. This is just a wild guess, Arch, but I'm going to say the Saints are going to pound this running game until the Bengals prove they can stop it.
Yeah, I would say so. Look, this is an offensive line. This is, maybe you go back to last year, it's an offensive line that really prides itself on a physical, punishing running game. You know, that's really where this offense is at its best. When those five up front for the Saints are able to just block down and kick out and let the backs run in behind.
Taysom Hill keeps the ball, fooling no one, and is brought down almost immediately by Sam Hubbard.
Well, you see, even towards the end of that first half, Lou Anarumo on rundowns starting to blitz a little bit more. So you can see that, maybe right now we can't handle this run game with just our normal, 4-man front or our 5-man front. So you're going to see a little bit more stunts. You're going to see a little bit more blitz opportunities. And so certainly that's a look that Andy Dalton will look for and try and exploit single coverage when Anarumo brings that blitz.
3rd and 5, movement, penalty flag, false start, New Orleans.
False start. Offense number 83, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Let's go down to AJ.
Greg, a couple injury updates. Bengals defensive tackle Josh Tupou has a calf injury. His return is questionable. And Saints tight end Adam Troutman, he had an ankle injury right before the half. He is returning to this game, guys.
Okay, AJ, thank you very much. So here is New Orleans with a 3rd and 10 at their own 38.
Looks like an all-out blitz.
And Andy Dalton calls a timeout. So Taysom Hill is on the sideline for no, he's out there.
Delay of game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So forget that timeout. The penalty is called for the delay of game.
Sloppy way to start the 3rd quarter. It's been a pretty clean game so far. That's only the 3rd penalty. Saints have all the penalties so far in this game.
3rd and 15. They need the 48-yard line for a first down. Dalton gonna run it. Lots of running room.
Might get it.
Got the first down. There is a penalty marker behind the play. But if that play stands, it's a heck of a gain for Andy Dalton in a first down. And everybody's taking a walk back.
Holding. Offense number 75. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Andres Pete. Left guard.
Yeah, I would say the clothesline inside. Well, I think it's safe to say that this wasn't the drive that Dennis Allen was looking for to start the 3rd quarter.
Wiped out a 17-yard gain. So 3rd and 25. Dalton throwing, and it is complete. That's going to be well short of a first down. The catch is made just across the 30-yard line by Juwan Johnson, the tight end.
Oh, boy. If this is a late hit, roughing the passer then.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 91. A 15-yard penalty will be added at the end of the play. First down.
That's Trey Hendrickson guilty of the call.
Oh, boy. Oh, that's just a heartbreak. That's just a killer.
Trey keeps looking at the replay. That's not going to change the call.
No.
So the roughing call bails out the offense. They get a first down now, and on the ground once again is Kamara. Boy, he hits the hole in a hurry.
Yeah, he sure does, and what he's getting up front is, that was more of an inside zone play where you use double teams and then you work off of that and then climb to the linebacker. They're earlier in the first half, they were using a lot of, block down and kick out blocks from the backside, more of a power play. They're doing a really good job of getting up on the linebackers. And how many times have you seen these Saints runners get so many yards before contact? They've been able to get to that next level.
Taysom Hill going to throw it and going to throw it deep down the middle of the field. Batted away, incomplete. Awuzie defending on Kevin White.
It's really good. Really good coverage down the field. Like I said earlier, this guy doesn't give up a lot of passes. He is. One of the reasons why they've been so good, their secondary and their pass defense has been so good over the last 10 games, is, Awuzie's ability to really take out the top receivers. And he just doesn't give up anything.
3rd and 3 as Dalton is back in at quarterback and throwing, and it is caught inside the 35-yard line by Keith Kirkwood. Also just elevated from the practice squad.
Elevated literally, 6'3", and goes up, way up. It's a big mismatch inside, and then Hilton, you see, he's playing behind. He just gets boxed out. He gets boxed out by the big frame of Kirkwood, and then Dalton puts it up where Hilton doesn't even have a chance to get it.
First down, New Orleans now at the 32 of the Bengals. Back to the ground game, and Kamara trying to break it outside, and he does. 25, 20-yard line and brought down. Awuzie and Jesse Bates combining for the tackle, but not before another first down is on the board.
When you have when you have an extra guy in the hole and they're still able to run the football like this, then it's going to be a long day. And that's against Von Bell, who I think has been playing exceptional. Both he and Jesse Bates had a real good day last week tackling against the Ravens. That's just a great run by Kamara, matched up against a really tough defender.
From the 20, Mark Ingram lost a yard. Well, the second half touchdown department, it's Saints have 10 of them, and the Bengals defense has allowed 0.
That's why both coaches, it was so important for them to get off to fast starts. Because, certainly Cincinnati has struggled, and the Saints, they played so good in the second half. They just dug themselves holes in the first half.
This is Kamara. And Kamara nudges it just inside the 20-yard line. So once again, for those fans out there who are saying, well, they ought to throw the ball more, you'd have to go, why should the Saints throw the ball more? They're doing really well running the football.
They have. Last week it was more of, Taysom Hill and, the uniqueness of him at quarterback, and he was able to pop the big run. But today it's been a group effort by all the runners for the Saints.
Dalton on 3rd down. Throwing is incomplete. Short of his intended receiver, Marquez Callaway at the goal line. And the field goal unit will come onto the field.
It's a tough play because Callaway initially, Eli Apple gets inside position, and so he has leverage to the inside, and so it's really tough for Callaway to try and cross his face to get that position. So just really a tough route to try and execute on, and the Bengals, a really good job by the defense. After a big letdown on the 3rd and long, you get the roughing the passer, There's a little bit momentum, but a nice job of standing tough and forcing the field goal.
Will Lutz from 37 is good for the third time today. 3 more on the board for the New Orleans Saints, who stretch their lead. Today, the New Orleans Saints have been as steady as you can ask for. That 56-yard drive ended with a Lutz field goal.
And the best part about it is that 7 minutes and 48 seconds. And that's a lot less time for Burrow and Chase and Higgins and Mixon and those guys to be able to be on the field and manufacture points.
Chris Evans from the 1. Across the 25 to about the 27-yard line, where he is brought down, and that's where New Orleans will go on defense, and we go down to AJ.
Greg, a lot has been made this week about the homecoming of Jamar Chase, a native son of New Orleans. He went to Archbishop Rummel High School in nearby Metairie, Louisiana, before becoming a star at LSU. He also grew up just minutes from the Superdome, and he told us playing here on the professional level is literally a dream come true. He has a whole bunch of family and friends, about 15 in the stands today, and he knew there would be a lot of hype, but he is ready for all of it, guys.
And was ready to go out to a nice dinner with him last night, too. The give is to Joe Mixon, and Mixon across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. Adebo and Tyrann Mathieu combining to make the tackle.
Great, Greg, no doubt. They've got to get Jamar Chase going at some point. Only 2 catches, and one way to do it is getting that run right there on first down. 2 high safety look, give it to Mixon on first down, and if you can pick up big runs like that, that's what opens up the rest of your passing game and forces you in a one safety defense like the Saints are in now.
That was only the 8th run of the day for the Cincinnati offense. This pass is complete to T. Higgins and out of bounds. Update time. Let's take you back to New York City. Coach Bill Cowher.
Yeah, right after a Corey Davis 41-yard catch from Zach Wilson, Braxton Berrios on the little trickery on the reverse will take this thing from 20 yards out, and the New York Jets in Green Bay take a 10-3 lead, and they're fired up about it. Back to you, Greg and Adam.
My. Coach, thank you very much. On 2nd and 2, Mixon looking for the first down and appears to have it, as he makes it out to about the 47-yard line.
Greg, they only had 2 drives. You know, they had 3 drives with 5 plays or less in that first half. And then they had 2 drives of about 12 plays where things, you know, started to click and started to get going. This is a huge drive right here. When you're down on the road against a team that's playing really well, and this is a critical drive for Burrow to try to get this passing game going.
He'll throw on first down to the outside. Caught, a missed tackle. Jamar Chase up the sideline.
This is all it takes. It's not down the field, but look, if you give him some space, Roby just doesn't break down. If you just break down a little bit, don't go take your shot. Just force him to go back inside. But, you know, that's the play. Those plays right there is, you know, what the Bengals are trying to get.
Another first down pass coming here. Burrow this time to the near side, and that is complete and out of bounds with the catch is Tyler Boyd. He'll be marked out at the 17-yard line.
Well, AJ mentioned it. Tyler Boyd's having himself a pretty nice day. 4 catches for 47 yards, and it's a really nice job by Burrow to see what the defense is doing and then getting the ball out. You know, so far, really the front, and in particular Cam Jordan and Marcus Davenport, we haven't called their names. They really haven't had an impact, and it provided no pressure on Burrow.
Burrow going to sneak for the first down and get it at the 15-yard line.
Greg, early in the game there was pressure, first couple of drives. But outside of that, you know, you had the magic trick on that 3rd down. Burrow escapes and goes 19 yards for a touchdown. But, you know, largely in this game, the 2 ends and the front for the Saints have really been kind of a non-factor.
Let's see what the Bengals think on first down. Burrow, end zone, touchdown, Jamar Chase.
How's this for threading the needle, Greg? That's the only thing I can think of. This window, look at the coverage. Debo is all over Chase, just like a pair of skinny jeans, Greg, and then just threads it in there, gets inside, and what a throw and catch. I knew they had to get Chase involved on that drive. 2 big catches, one a catch and run, and that one the touchdown. Exactly what Cincinnati needs.
McPherson for the extra point. And it is good. So the Bengals answer the New Orleans field goal with a touchdown. And they close the gap once more. The Saints 23-21. We're coming back to the Superdome after this. Progressive Insurance, both sides have shown flashes of what they do best. Joe Burrow throwing the football and the New Orleans Saints running it.
2 different styles, Greg. The Saints going with the ground attack, trying to pound it and get physical, and on their touchdown drives, you've seen the Bengals operate pretty efficiently. Joe Burrow has really, number one, they've been able to protect him pretty well. And again, on those 3 touchdown drives, he's been able to deal and find the matchups and perfect accuracy.
Shaheed going to get a chance to run this one from about his own 1-yard line. Through the 20 and to about the 21-yard line, down to AJ.
Greg, I can tell you that Jamar Chase touchdown re-energized this Bengals bench after that time-consuming Saints drive to start the half. I mean, Chase was over here dancing. Joe Mixon was in Tyler Boyd's face, basically telling him, keep doing what you're doing. You can tell these guys are locked in.
AJ, thank you. It'll be interesting now to see if that charges the defense, because New Orleans has scored on 5 of their last 7 drives today, including the last 4. As the Saints try to grab the momentum back on offense. This is Ingram. And Ingram brought to a halt just short of the 25-yard line. It's really been an interesting thing to watch the momentum shift back and forth between these 2 teams today.
You know what? I was really curious because, look what the Saints did last week and how they used their tight ends and how they used Taysom Hill to overcome the deficit at wide receiver was impressive. I was really interested to see, could they replicate it? Could they still have a good offensive performance in this game without their receivers? And so far, they've been able to put 2 back-to-back games together.
Dalton over the middle. And the catch is made. That's Juwan Johnson.
This is really a pretty throw and catch. This is Mike Hilton against Johnson. And look at Johnson just separates. And then that throw. And Dalton gets it right over the linebacker and then drops it in there right between the numbers. Again, from a production standpoint and a number standpoint, not flashy, but you've seen some really good money throws from Dalton in this game.
Ready? Wait, what's up?
On first down, they'll give it to Kamara. And Kamara with running room. Ball came out. Let's see if he's ruled down on the play. He is.
Everything on the field is down by contact. 2nd down.
Let's get you another update from New York City. Let's go back to James Brown, Coach Cowher.
Special team support. How about this? Michael Clemens runs through the middle, blocks the punt. Will Parks picks it up, runs 20 yards on in, 17-3 to Jets. And remember, Green Bay has won 15 straight at Lambeau. My question to Greg Gumbel, ask Adam, has he ever blocked the punt?
Oh, there's a question.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah, absolutely. He should know that.
Hey, he's just asking a simple question. Don't get defensive. How many
Coach,
have you
you're
blocked?
going to have to have some words.
How many have you blocked?
6 and 7.
Can we just concentrate on our game? There's a big 3rd down coming up, Greg.
3rd and 1. 3rd and 1 as we come up on 105 to play here in the 3rd quarter.
Ready? Wait, what's up?
Ingram in the backfield. Ingram with the handoff. Ingram with the first down, bumping off of tacklers. and moving to the 42-yard line. It's a first down.
Look how Ingram just bounces right off. That's Tufele. That's a big boy inside, just one-on-one, and Ingram just bounces off and falls forward for the first down.
Look at the rushing yards. 208 for New Orleans, so the Bengals 64, but it's still a 2-point game.
Ready! Baby set! Ready! Baby stop!
Ingram again. Inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. Hubbard and Pratt with the stop, and with that, we will come to the end of the third quarter. A most entertaining game right now favoring the New Orleans Saints. It's 23-21. We're coming back after this message and a word from your local station. You are watching the NFL on CBS. Our director, Mark Grant, Greg Gumbel, Adam Archuleta, A.J. Ross as we go to the fourth. Welcome back to Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. As we go to the fourth, I don't see either of these teams changing what has worked for them so far today.
Well, I don't think so. I think Cincinnati has shown that they really can't stop the run. And, you know, Cincinnati, if Burrow's able to get back on the field, it looks like that offense is starting to heat up. So I think we're in for a pretty good fourth quarter, Greg.
Taysom Hill with the direct snap and going to throw it far side of the field, and that is complete. Fighting his way to the 30-yard line is Marquez Callaway.
I only threw it one time last week, but the safeties, when Taysom Hill is at quarterback, they're going to come play up tight. And so they're going to commit more resources to stopping him in the run game. And what does that mean? That means that you're probably going to have a matchup outside, a really good matchup on your running back. So he's a guy that certainly, you know, his quarterback background, it can throw the ball, not really a problem. So how you match up to those formations is the big challenge.
This is Kamara. And Kamara just inside the 25-yard line. When we talked to Taysom Hill, he said, well, sure, yeah, he's in a number of different rooms during the week. He's with the tight ends, he's with the running backs, he's with the quarterbacks. He says, sure, I'd like to be a quarterback, but that's just not in the cards for him right now, not full time.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he feels like he has what it takes to play quarterback in the National Football League. That's where his love is. And I got to ask you, Greg, if you grew up playing quarterback your whole life and were a star, would you enjoy being told you have to go out there and block as a tight end?
Well, didn't like that anyway. Kamara, nowhere to go.
But he does want to play quarterback, and you know it's been an interesting year for him. He started out in the offseason knowing that they were going to make the switch to tight end, and so he spent most of camp and summer and the preseason in the tight end room as a tight end. And now since Jameis Winston has been hurt, now he spends his time with the quarterback room, and he's
got a lot of homework to do.
Yeah, because of the mental demands of playing quarterback, it's really hard to play everything and be good at it, but he's done a great job.
3rd and 4. Dalton got his first down. Inside the 15-yard line is Tre'Quan Smith. That running game has allowed Andy Dalton to really pick and choose when he does throw the ball.
He sure has, and really it's the same thing. Look at the pocket and the protection. There's nothing getting in his way. There's nothing disrupting Andy Dalton. He's able, especially against zone coverage. If you're going to play zone, the pass rush has to be there. You've got to get the quarterback off of his spot.
This is Taysom Hill under center. Rolling, looking, and throws incomplete. It'll be second down. As we watched them practice the other day, I foolishly asked you, why doesn't every team have a guy like that?
Yeah. So everybody's looking for the pass interference, and here's the rule. If the quarterback is outside the pocket, you can hit a receiver and knock him down before the ball is thrown. Now, if you hit him when the ball is in the air, then you could be a pass interference, but there is no illegal contact before the ball is thrown if the quarterback is outside the pocket.
Kamara didn't get much of a start before he was knocked down by Jay Tufele.
if there's one blemish, if you're the Saints, it's the red zone. Now, if you're the Bengals defense, they've done a tremendous job of not letting the Saints get into the end zone. Now, they have scored 1 touchdown. They have 3 field goals. But that has been the one blemish. Credit the Bengals for being tough and forcing them in a lot of 3rd and long situations when they do get inside the 20.
This is a 3rd and 12. Andy Dalton. That's complete. Kamara out of the backfield, but doesn't get much yardage. He's going to be marked down at about the 13-yard line, and that'll bring the field goal unit onto the field once again for the New Orleans Saints. And we have a Cincinnati Bengal on the field, and that is Logan Wilson. Their leading tackler coming into this game. They'll look at him. We'll take a break. As Zach Taylor looks on, Will Lutz has been good today from 35, 30, 37 yards. This one will be 31. Drive has stalled. The Saints have been able to convert and put points on the board. They now lead at 26.
Down the middle to the end zone. Touchdown.
This is unbelievable back and forth.
Oh, down the middle. Oh my goodness. The kick is good. Mahomes to the end zone for the win. Ball game.
That's coming up next. Just going out on a limb here, there may be a little offense involved in that game.
How could you get better? I mean, it really, to me, it's the greatest game I've ever seen. I know I'm not the only one that shares that opinion. I don't know how they come close, but I'm sure it is going to be entertaining.
Look at the numbers for these two quarterbacks. 14 and 4 for Josh Allen, 15 and 2 for Patrick Mahomes.
One wears a blue cape and one wears a red cape. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it is. They have been playing at just an insane level, and I hope I get the chance to watch it on the plane.
First down, 25-yard line, and Burrow to throw. Running out of time, popped in the air and falls incomplete.
Boy, that was so close to a disaster for, it went right off his helmet inside, and I think T. Higgins, he knocks it down. No. Unfortunate. It's crazy to me that we're sitting here in the fourth quarter and the Bengals have only had one drive here in the second half. The Saints have done just a great job of keeping this offense off the field.
Go to the running game, and that is Joe Mixon. Update time. Let's get you back to New York once again, and once again, JB and the coach.
A dangerous combination.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson to Mark Andrews here from 12 yards out. It's Andrews' 5th touchdown of the year. Now Baltimore leads 20-10 over the New York Giants.
And we take it back to Greg, Adam, and AJ.
All right, guys, it's getting noisy. 3rd and 3.
You've got to do something. Now, Burrow has been so good against the blitz, but you've got to do something to put pressure and disrupt Burrow's process.
Under pressure. Circling back, looking for receivers, gonna throw it right in the middle of the field. He finds Tyler Boyd. Boyd to the 41 for a first down.
I don't know how he's done it. I mean, the two biggest plays of the game have been Burrow, and they get there. Pete Werner, he comes in scot-free. You've got two players, Werner and Demario Davis, and how Joe Burrow gets out of that, keeps it alive, and then finds Tyler Boyd is just amazing. I mean, that's almost better than the one on 3rd and 19 that he went for a touchdown, but what a play for Joe Burrow coming to life here in the fourth quarter.
First down, Cincinnati at their own 41. Mixon shaking, tackles, cuts it back inside, and is across the 45 to almost the 47-yard line.
Oh boy, what a really nice job by Mixon to just try to make something happen on first down, to be able to pick up 6 yards and make it, 5 or 6 yards and make it 2nd and 5. But it looks to me like, they've had a couple drives in this game where they've looked like the Cincinnati Bengals, operating at a pretty high level.
Burrow on the slant. Got his man across midfield. There is a flag down as T. Higgins pulls it in.
You might get a neutral zone, maybe on Cam Jordan. He got a great get off. It would have been close.
Offside, lined up in the neutral zone. Defense number 90. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is the first down.
That's Tano Passignon.
Yeah, I thought it was Jordan, but here it is. That's Passignon lined up right there in the neutral zone, and then he gets a great get off. But here we go, 1st and 10.
Burrow going to loft it towards this side of the field, incomplete. Tyler Boyd, the nearest receiver. 8:29 on the clock, 2nd and 10. Boy, if the Bengals run out of time, this is going to back the Bengals up. If the Bengals run out of time, it's going to be because possession has been everything to the New Orleans Saints so far today.
Well, that's kind of, it has to be your blueprint if you're going to win. They control the clock, run the football, keep Cincinnati and their offense off the field. Again, the one thing they haven't done and haven't been efficient in is in the red zone getting points. But this is a big 1st and 20 here. Burrow has to try and dig the Bengals out of a hole.
1st and 20. They'll give it to Pirine. Going nowhere. Malcolm Roach, number 97.
Really nice job, just a 4-man rush, and look how fast Roach, who missed the first 4 games of the season, really good to see him back in the lineup as somebody inside that can do a great job against the run and also provide a little bit of pass rush.
2nd and 19. Burrow's pass, nice grab by T. Higgins.
All right, look at where Burrow puts this ball. You got a dropping linebacker coming from inside out. Look, it looks like Davis is right there, and then he puts it on the backside. He takes Higgins away from just getting his clock cleaned by Demario Davis coming from inside out, and then Higgins makes that adjustment. That's beautiful work right there between Burrow and Higgins.
13-yard pickup makes it 3rd and 6. And Cincinnati's going to use a timeout here.
Timeout. Cincinnati, the first of the half.
So they'll take a timeout. So will we. 7:12 to play. In the 4th, Saints have been able to hold on to the football. Do you think the Bengals consider going for it on 4th if they don't make it?
Well, if they get close within like 4th and 2, then I would imagine, yes, it's 4-down territory. The Saints are playing with 6 DBs. They like to, typically, this is where a lot of their pressure looks come from. I doubt they're going to come with just 3 rushers here on a 3rd medium against Burrow.
Cincinnati has converted 5 of its last 6 third downs. Burrow throwing. Caught. Jamar Chase over the middle. And he has enough for the 1st down.
Oh, look at these strong hands. This is the 2nd time in this game under just heavy coverage. Really good technique by Roby. You really can't say anything else. He did everything right except Chase was better at the catch. I mean, that's just a great player making a huge catch in a big moment, and he's done that here in the 2nd half.
Burrow up to 221 yards and the touchdown pass to Chase. Now 1st down. Burrow. That pass complete at the 30-yard line. Higgins shakes a tackle, shakes another, and goes inside the 25 to the 24-yard line.
Cincinnati's really been able to work these short slants inside, and when they see man-to-man coverage, that time it was a Debo. You saw the cushion, and when you have a big target, a guy like Higgins who is so good using his body and using his frame in those tight window contested situations, if he gets inside position on a defensive back, it's almost an automatic catch.
Under 6 minutes to play. Burrow pulls it down and then goes down. Demario Davis, along with Marcus Davenport.
Well, this is outstanding. They're going to blitz Davis, but Werner has Mixon in coverage. When he sees him block, Werner's just going to come in and replace. That's just an excellent job right there. Great timing by Dennis Allen to call a blitz. Get Demario Davis involved, one of your best defensive players. You know, the difference in this game, the Saints, when they haven't been able to disrupt Burrow, he's been able to pick apart their defense. They've got to get pressure and get him off his first read.
2nd and 17, under pressure again, and going down. This time, Caden Ellis. 3rd sack of the day for the New Orleans defense.
This is just effort, just tremendous effort inside. Look at this, Ellis, he's pushing up. All they're trying to do is just set a game. And then number 55, he just keeps coming, just splits it, keeps coming, and then Davenport is able to come back inside. That is a tremendous effort by Ellis. 2 big sacks is exactly what this Saints defense needed on this drive.
3rd and 27. The pass grabbed by Jamar Chase, and Chase spinning down just inside the 35-yard line. Well short of first down yardage.
Greg, to me, that's the difference in this game, is pressure versus not pressure. Early, they were able to get to Burrow and disrupt him. You've seen Burrow, when they have gotten pressured, he's made a couple of just outstanding individual plays to escape. But pressure has been the Saints' only chance on defense today.
McPherson from 52 yards out to cut into the New Orleans lead. Straight enough, long enough. Evan McPherson has made 7 in a row now from 50 yards or more. 13 of 15 in his career. It's
Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xE. And by T-Mobile. More 5G bars in more places.
Just a look inside at the beautiful Jackson Square in the great city of New Orleans. Welcome back to Caesars Superdome, everyone. 3:42 remaining in regulation. The Saints with a 2-point lead, 26-24. Saints with 3 timeouts remaining, Cincinnati with 2, and New Orleans has put points on the board in each of its last 5 drives. That will go into and out of the end zone for the touchback, and the Saints will start at their own 25-yard line. Stay tuned for the NFL Today update delivered by Little Caesars, time permitting. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher have all the latest NFL scores and highlights. This has been fun.
Yeah, I would say so, Greg. I'm having a good time. You're kind of a good luck charm for me.
I'm glad to know.
I'm glad to have you. On a drive like this, you're trying to come back in this game with 3 minutes and you have 2 timeouts. First down is critical.
A couple for Kamara. But when you're wanting to take time off the clock, it's nice if you're the team that's proven you can run the football today.
Yeah, it is. And again, it's, first down is so critical, especially when you only have 2 timeouts, because, certainly, Zach Taylor, he wants to try and get this ball back before the 2-minute warning. And so for you to be able to do that, you've got to make a stop here and force a 3 and out. If they're able to pick up a first down, then it makes it really tough for the Bengals.
Winning team goes to 3-3 on the year. The loser goes to 2-4. Ingram again. And stout defense in the middle of the line by the Cincinnati Bengals. 3rd down. As we come up on 2:45. How important is it to win this game? Well, if you believe in the percentages, You're 3-3. It's a heck of a lot better than if you start 2-4.
Yeah, 2-4 looks real bad. I mean, it just, there's nothing good about that.
Third and 4.
It's like the Bengals are bringing pressure here.
Dalton got hit as he threw the ball, and it falls incomplete. Trey Hendrickson. That ball, I believe, was ruled down.
Well, I don't know how Hendrickson ran this hoop, and I don't know. It was just a heck of a job and effort to just reach his hand in there and get to Dalton before he could throw that ball and force the incomplete pass. You know, really, when you're trying to win a game at the end, you know, when it comes down to final drives, it's when your front really has to come alive, either to close it out or to make a play. It usually comes down to the pressure on the quarterback. That is the difference.
16 seconds, 2:16.
So they're adjusting the clock. Meanwhile, New Orleans about to punt for the first time since back in the first quarter. And the defense stands up and makes a defensive stand when it counts the most.
Thank you.
Because that man is going to get a chance. Trent Taylor is back inside his own 25-yard line. Gillikins want to get a good one off. Short. Horribly short. And out of bounds, and it's going to have terrific field position for the Cincinnati Bengals when all is said and done. They are going to mark it. Let's see where. Looks to be the 40-yard line. The Bengals will be at their own 40-yard line with 2 timeouts and 2:10 on the clock.
All they really need to get into the outer limits of field goal position is about 20 yards. So there's certainly plenty of time with timeouts and the 2-minute warning to work the offense.
Burrow throwing this side of the field. Jamar Chase with the catch and up the sideline. And there he goes. Jamar Chase to the end zone for the touchdown. 60 yards.
Greg, this is amazing. What a second half by Jamar Chase. He's just taken over this football game for the second time. He breaks the tackle of Bradley Roby, and then he's got Tyrann Mathieu, who's one of the best defensive players on the back end. He makes 2 of them miss, and after having only 2 catches in the first half, Jamar Chase has taken over this football game, and once again in this building goes off with a huge play.
Cincinnati puts 10 points on the board in the last minute 44 if this extra point attempt is good. And at 1:57 to play, the Bengals grab their first lead of the day.
Incredible. I can't believe it.
They're going to go for 2. Burrow. Didn't happen. 1:57 to play. Cincinnati has come all the way back, and the Bengals lead it 30-26. Jamar Chase, 221 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns that night. Meanwhile, Burrow threw 5 touchdown passes and amassed 463 passing yards. They're kind of comfortable in this building.
Yeah, I would say so. I think they figured out how to play with each other, and just the second half, Jamar Chase really has dominated this football game.
Well, Joe Burrow arrived today wearing Chase's jersey from that game, and then was able to find this #1 fairly well today.
Yeah, and after a really quiet first half, only 2 catches. Had a few frustrating drives, but then again, all they do is wait for getting that single high, looking for that man-to-man coverage, looking for the free safety in the middle of the field. And it's been a frustrating season.
Kicking team number 23. A 5-yard penalty will be added to the touchback spot. First down.
Greg, it's been a frustrating season because the way it started out hasn't exactly looked like it looked like last year. But look, 2 phenomenal players at the top of their game. It's not going to. They'll figure it out eventually, and I think today they've been able to put that formula together, and what a show here in the second half.
This, by the way, Burrow's 13th career 300-yard passing game, and now the give straight ahead, Kamara across the 35 to about the 37, and the clock is rolling.
Now look, there's still plenty of time here for the Saints. There's 1:45 left, and you have 3 timeouts. So there's plenty of time, but you can't take negative plays, and you can't take sacks.
2nd and 3. Dalton throw it away. It'll be 3rd and 3. And 1:34 on the clock. I think you were really, really in your fortune-telling mode when I asked you, how do you think this game is going to go? And you said, I don't know.
Yes, that's usually the correct answer.
3rd and 3. Dalton. Catch is made inside the 40-yard line. On the button to Juwan Johnson.
Well, that's such a big catch on 3rd down. And Zach Taylor trying to figure out what he has to do to get his defense to be able to get a stop. And really, I think it starts with the front 4. Somebody's got to get home.
Out of the backfield, this is Kamara. And Kamara to midfield. 105, 104. The clock continues to move. The Saints to the line in a hurry and now call timeout. It'll be 2nd and 2 when they resume play. Mind you, stay tuned for the NFL Today update delivered by Little Caesars, time permitting. JB and Phil and Nate and Boomer and the coach will have the latest NFL scores and highlights. And the game clock has been reset to 107. So the Saints with 2 timeouts remaining.
Well, remember, they don't have Mike Thomas. We've talked about that. We don't have Olave, the rookie, who is the downfield threat. There's no Landry. And so, they don't have the guys typically that you would threaten down the field. So, what Cincinnati has to make sure they do is they've got to tackle because, they do have some guys that do have some speed. You've got to be able to tackle extremely well here if you're Cincinnati. And again, I've always believed this, that in the 4th quarter, when you're trying to close out a game, that's when your front has to come alive, and guys like Hendrickson and Hubbard have to get home.
Dalton. Kamara. Close to the 40-yard line. He'll be marked down at the 41. Clock continues to move, coming up on 55 seconds. This is a first down. Dalton throwing over the middle. It falls incomplete, a little bit behind Kamara, his intended receiver.
If you're Cincinnati, you're perfectly fine right now if you're just inviting the underneath throw. And I know that Kamara is a dangerous guy, and he is really the one guy that with the ball into his hands, he is probably the main guy here that could make something happen after the catch. So you don't want to see him with his hands on the football here in this part of the game, but you are content of sitting back and making Dalton throw underneath, come up, rally, and make a tackle.
2nd and 10. Dalton behind Marquez Callaway. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Just a couple of little opportunities right there. If you make a good throw to Kamara on that previous, then you're not sitting on 2nd and long. And You make a good throw there, and you let Callaway get a chance to catch it, run, maybe break a tackle. You're sitting in a much better situation. But 2 throws that missed the mark is why they're sitting here at 3rd and 10. And
39 on the clock. Dalton pulls it down and then goes down. B.J. Hill and Sam Hubbard. Looked to his right, wasn't there. Moved his view to the middle of the field, nothing there either, and down he goes.
Please reset to 34 seconds.
34 seconds to be played on 4th and 17.
That's the play right there that Cincinnati was looking for. It's about pressure. If you can't get pressure on a game-winning situation or a game-winning drive, then chances are you're not going to win that game. You've got to be able to get pressure and get sacks in that situation, and that's exactly what happened there for Cincinnati.
They need the 31-yard line for a first down. That's 17 yards away.
Now you got look at all the you got pretty much 8 Bengal defenders that are 15 yards deep and just sitting right there at the sticks.
Dalton going to go very deep down the sideline. It is incomplete. Fans are looking for a flag. There are no flags. Marquez Callaway, the intended receiver, covered by Eli Apple.
Yeah, I think Eli Apple did a really good job there. He was in great position and was looking at the ball the whole time. Look, his eyes are on the ball, and their feet get tangled up, and there's no way that's a pass interference. Got a great job by Hill coming over the top, but that's just really good position, good coverage by Apple to squeeze him to the sideline, turn, look for the football. Well done.
Andy Dalton wants a flag. There is none. And the Bengals just need to ride out 27 seconds on the clock, and they will pull even at 3-3 on the season. Burrow with the knee, and that's the ball game.
Oh, Cincinnati, how many close games? All three losses coming down to the final kick and losing the game. Finally, they're able to close it off. And Dennis Allen's football team played so well early, but just Burrow and Chase too much in the end.
Our final score, the Bengals 30, the Saints 26. Let's take you to James Brown in New York for the NFL Today update.